Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Konrad Gorlinski. The third and final Silesian uprising ended 100 years ago today. Polish President Andrzej Duda celebrated the anniversary in Katowice by awarding posthumously one of its leaders, Alfons Zgrzebniok, the highest Polish decoration, the Order of the White Eagle. Silesia was one of the original territories of the Kingdom of Poland. Members of the Piast dynasty ruled there until the 17th century. In the 14th century, the Kingdom of Poland lost its hereditary title to the land in favor of the Czech crown, but Poles were an important part of the region. In the 19th century, a Polish national identity rebounded there. After the First World War, the dream of living in a Polish state became a reality. After the Treaty of Versailles, the Poles of Silesia grabbed weapons and fought for the recognition of their statehood ambitions. Among such people was Alfons Zgrzebniok, intellectual, World War I hero, and commander of the First Silesian Uprising. Zgrzebniok proved that patriotic Poles can prevail. The Polish ruling party, Law and Justice, gathered in Warsaw for a two-day Congress. Today, the deputy chairmen were elected, and among them was Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki. Political analysts consider Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki as a possible successor to the helm of Law and Justice after Jarosław Kaczyński departs. Morawiecki joined the party only in 2016. In 2018, he became Prime Minister, and in 2019, he was elected to Parliament representing the Silesian constituency. He takes credit for the handling of the coronavirus crisis and post-pandemic economic recovery of the country. Morawiecki might be a symbol of the change of watch between the septuagenarian founders and the 50-something generation of conservative politicians. Mateusz Morawiecki may be the one who can attract the young generation because his lifestyle and his style of doing politics may be more attractive to the younger generation. Pope Francis went to a Rome hospital for a scheduled surgery for a stenosis, or restriction of the large intestine, the Vatican said. The brief announcement from the Holy See's press office didn't say exactly when the surgery would be performed, but said there would be an announcement when the surgery is complete. Just 3 hours earlier, Francis had cheerfully greeted the public in St. Peter's Square, in keeping with the Sunday tradition, and told them that he will go to Hungary and Slovakia in September. Francis is generally in good health, but did have part of one lung removed as a young man. He also suffers from sciatica, occasionally having painful bouts of the condition that involves a nerve affecting the lower back and leg. That had forced him at times to skip scheduled appearances. The Pope had a particularly demanding set of appointments last week, including celebrating a Mass on Tuesday to mark the Catholic feast day, honoring Saints Peter and Paul, and later in the week presiding at a special prayer service for Lebanon. On June 28th, he also had a long private audience at the Vatican with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Throughout all those engagements, Francis appeared to be in good spirits. Gemelli doctors have performed surgery before on papal patients, including on Pope John Paul II, who had a benign tumor in his colon removed in 1992. Lithuania declared a state of emergency due to an influx of migrants from neighboring Belarus, as tensions between the European Union and Belarus continue to escalate. It seems that Lukashenko has opened flights from Baghdad to its country's capital, Minsk, and is facilitating the transport of willing migrants to the border with Lithuania and Poland. This is alleged retaliation for EU sanctions imposed on what we can now call the last European dictator. Prime Minister Ingrida Simonite's cabinet declared the emergency after border officials reported Friday that they had detained about 150 illegal migrants in the last day who had crossed over from Belarus, with whom Lithuania shares a 679-kilometer border. According to Lithuania's Interior Minister Aglė Biotaitė, the decision was necessary due to a need for a more robust system to handle migrants coming in. Lithuanian border security reported 822 migrants who tried to cross the border from Belarus this year, a number more than 10 times higher than in 2020. The majority of migrants claim to be from Iraq, Iran, and Syria. Earlier in June, Lithuania's Prime Minister Simonite said she believed the Belarus government is behind the recent spike of illegal immigration into Lithuania by helping the migrants trying to get into the European Union country and claim asylum there. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen paid a visit to Vilnius, Lithuania's capital, on Friday, and vowed to help the country, a former Soviet republic, cope with the influx of migrants. She pledged assistance from Frontex, EU's border and coast guard agency, which would deploy border guard teams not only to Lithuania, but also to Latvia, a Baltic neighbor that also shares a border with Belarus. Earlier, Belarus's foreign ministry announced that the government would suspend an agreement with Belarus intended to stem illegal immigration into the EU. The relationship between Belarus and the European Union has been strained since the crackdown that followed the disputed August 9th presidential election in Belarus, leading to several rounds of European Union sanctions on the country. Recently, European carriers were told to fly around Belarus, and its national airline was banned from flying over the EU after the country forced a Ryanair plane with a dissident on board to land in Minsk on May 23rd, further straining the relationship. Finally, as Americans celebrate the 4th of July, their Independence Day, Polish politicians send their wishes to their American friends. Andrzej Duda wrote to U.S. President Joe Biden, "I want to assure you that Poland, as a reliable ally, is and will continue to work in solidarity with the United States for the peace and prosperity of both our homelands and the entire transatlantic space and the international community." Polish president pointed out that many Poles and Polish emigres live in the USA, and that Polish Americans represent a constant link between the two countries and peoples. Duda went on to point to the cooperation in recent years, which he wrote had brought tangible results, naming bilateral economic relations, modernization of the Polish armed forces, energy, including liquefied natural gas and nuclear power, as well as the Three Seas Initiative, a grouping of 12 countries lying between the Baltic, Black, and Adriatic Seas. Duda assured Biden of Poland's allegiance in the face of global threats such as the COVID-19 pandemic and other serious threats of an economic or political nature. The night before the fireworks display erupted around the U.S. cities, former U.S. President Donald Trump spoke to Floridians, reassuring them that the Independence Day will not be canceled, and American founders and patriots will never be purged from history or canceled from our hearts. Trump denounced cancel culture and anti-American sentiment coming from activist groups seeking to destroy American historical symbols and statues.
Climate change, always climate change. And remember this, climate change, you only have 9 years left, right? Remember where AOC got up? We have 12 years. Well, we might have problems. We better be careful about nuclear and but you're not going to worry about it. You're just going to do everything right. You'll be fine. But we have, because of climate change, 12 years to live. We're down to now 9. Is anybody nervous about it? Somehow I'm not. But racial injustice and nation's growing housing crisis, and that was the quote. In other words, if Biden and the radical Democrats get their way, you can kiss your suburbs, your 4th of July, your barbecue, and you can kiss the American dream goodbye. You know that.
Trump announced that in the next year's midterm election, Republicans aim to take the Senate and block the current administration's policies. Thanks for tuning in this evening, and have a wonderful week ahead.